Hi, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a new project for you with our newest StampTV Kit, now available from Gina K Designs, Autumn Blessings. This kit contains two different stamp sets, Autumn Blessings and Friends Till the End. Today I'm using the Autumn Blessings stamps. In addition to the stamps, you also get coordinating dies, beautiful pattern papers that have images from the sets in them, and coordinating cardstock in a beautiful assortment of fall colors, and these are perfect for masculine projects or nature cards any time of year. I thought that since we're doing the kit, it would be a great time to show you want to use all those papers in the kit, the patterned ones and the colored ones, and the Inspiration Mosaic set that I have is perfect for creating lots of different layouts using those different papers and images. So you can use this in landscape or portrait style for 4 different sketches, and these openings are great for those different images. I also did a video showing how you can do a faux paper pasting technique with just one pattern paper and your markers to color in the panes so that it looks like lots of different colored coordinating papers. So be sure to check out that video. So we will be using the Inspiration Mosaic stamp set as well. It includes this frame stamp and all of the images and greetings that you see here. You'll also need a large block for stamping that frame, or you could use a Cuttlebug plate or another die cutting plate. Using some cardstock from the kit, I've got the Gina K Ivory Pure Luxury. This is a 4" by 5 1/4 mat, and I like using that mat size with this frame because it's going to leave a nice 1/8 inch reveal all the way around when stamped. And then just some of the Fresh Asparagus cardstock. This is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4. So we've got a side fold A2 size card. Just stamps, ink, and paper today. So we've got the stamps, the paper, and then the ink pads. I've got the dark chocolate, the fresh asparagus, and the honey mustard, and these colors are all included in the kit. We've got some adhesive and some sponge daubers for doing the sponging, and then just some smaller blocks for those smaller images. And then you want to just use some sticky notes. I used 5 for this. That's ideal because it's going to allow you to cover all the sides that you need for this reverse masking technique at one time, and then you can just reuse them over and over, moving them around the different panes. I've also shown in other videos how you can actually create a mask to save by stamping this on scratch paper and then cutting out individual ones, but the sticky notes is going to give you the flexibility of doing any little pane that you want, and you might choose to sponge and stamp and mask every single pane, or you might like to leave a lot of white space like I do. So let's go ahead and get started by stamping the frame onto our mat. So I'm using the dark chocolate. I'm going to go all over. I'm going to hold that up to the light, just tilt it, and I can see that it's wet everywhere, so I know I've got ink on all the corners. You can also just huff on this stamp to moisten and reactivate the ink. And then just lay it right over your mat. And I'm just going to peek. Pardon my head if I get in the way, but I'm just looking, not measuring anything, but looking to see that all those lines on the block are running parallel and perpendicular to the edges of my mat. I see an equal amount on each side, and so I'm just going to drop it, press all over, and lift it up. So you get a perfect image every time with that technique. I do. Also, when you're lining this up on the block, this is die cut now. I got this set before we started die cutting our rubber stamps, but you just simply take one edge of the stamp, line it up with one line on your grid line block, and then just keep those lines running parallel, like I said, to your cardstock, and you should have no problem. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to start stamping this first, and then I'll do the sponging later, but you can do in either order. One thing that I really like about these clear sets, here it is that you can lay these image sheets right over the frame to see where you want to put your greeting and your different images. So I really like how this with love and prayers looks here, but you can also place this in either one of these rectangles. So let's begin by stamping that. And I'm going to do that in the dark chocolate to match the frame. So I'll put that right there. And then I wanted to use one of the accents from the Inspiration Mosaic set. Just this little row of squares. And then I'm also going to put it over here just to fill in some of the space and have these elements bounce around the card. Okay, now I want to go ahead and start stamping some of these leaves. So I'm going to use the fresh asparagus for that, and we're going to start covering this up. So I'm going to do this box first, and the way that I choose where I want my color or my stamping to go, I just want it to bounce around the card. So maybe in 3 different spots. Odd numbers are always good, but just so that your eye travels around. And I just pick squares or blocks, openings that aren't right next to each other, so that you don't have that pattern in one right next to the pattern of another. So you just lay it right across the edge. Right there in the corner. And then finally here. Okay. So I'm going to stamp this in the green. So pretty. It has a really interesting texture inside. Now I'm going to put this on this top block. So I'm going to move these around. Placing the sticky edge along the edge of that. And it's so great to use Post-it notes because then you don't have to worry about it moving when you're sponging. And then I'm going to stamp it again, and I'm going to turn it so that I'm seeing a different portion of the leaf, like they just fell. And then I'm also going to add one, I think, right here, just to accent that box. So I don't want a whole lot in the box, and I didn't want it underneath the greeting, but just a little bit peeking out here. Okay, now I'm going to go into this box, and I'm going to do a brown leaf because I want to add a little bit more brown to this layout. And when you're adding sponging and images to this frame, you know, a kit is a great way to do that because you've already got several colors picked out. But if you aren't using a kit, just take 2 or 3 colors that you like the way that they look together, and then you're just going to put them in those different openings. And I usually choose 2 to 3 different images. So here we're using the leaf and the tree. So I'm going to use the brown for the leaf, and if you want, you can stamp off a little bit of that corner right there. Okay, maybe a little bit more, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm stamping it onto the Post-it note first to get the stamped off, and then doing it here just because I didn't want to catch an edge and have part of it dark and part of it light from the first time I stamped it. Now before I move that, I'm going to do a little sponging here. So I'm going to take my sponge dauber and my honey mustard, and I'm just going to go in, and I like to have it be uneven. Rather than it just being solid, I want to have it be maybe a little darker on a couple of the corners and then a little lighter on the others. Just it looks a little bit more interesting, and then you get that glow. So we'll remove that. And then I want to put some of the honey mustard down here. So really the most time-consuming part of this is moving the sticky notes, but as you can see, you didn't need any cutting, any other embellishments on the final card. So I definitely think it's worth taking the time and just get such a crisp look. For this one, you only need 4 since it's just a rectangle. And we're going to stamp that tree in. And then I'm just going to create the suggestion of a sunset and some grass with my sponging. So I'm going to take this tree silhouette, and I'm going to ink it up first with a lighter color. So I'm going to do the green all over the tree. Make sure I've got the green here. Yep, that's the green. So I've got the green all over this tree, and then I'm going to take my darker pad, the chocolate, and I'm just going to take the corner of it, and I'm going to go just swipe that a little bit on the bottom on the trunk, and then dab just a tiny bit into that for the branches. And that is not going to mess up my pad because the green is lighter. So I'm just going to add that right here. That's called direct to stamp when you're going on to it with different pads or markers before stamping. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of this green for the bottom, just for a little grass. And then I'm going to do the honey mustard above it for some sky. And you can bring in more colors. That cranberry would be gorgeous if you want, but I was just trying to keep it to the orange, brown, and green. And that's it. So I'm just going to reveal this. Isn't it beautiful? I love this kit. I love this frame. It's my all-time favorite frame, and it's the best-selling one for that reason, because it is so versatile and it looks great with any stamp images that you add to it, modern or vintage. And your card is complete. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Please visit my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, and our StampTV and Gina K Design websites. And I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching today, and God bless.